Welcome back to the Bowl Call Fantasy Football Podcast. It is best ball season. Don't make these mistakes when you're drafting your best ball team. All right, we're back. It is the heart of best ball season. If you're not drafting, I don't know what you're doing. Shane, you drafting best balls?
I'm in a couple right now. Absolutely.
There we go. Now, I love this time of year. Listen, we're still a few months before you're going to draft against your friends in your home league. And of course, you're going to smash your friends in your home league because you're watching the Bowl Call. That means you're inquisitive. You're interested in fantasy football beyond just a couple days before the draft. You're going to crush it. But fantasy football is now a year-round sport, Shane. And I draft all year round. I love it. I listen, I got drafts going pre-NFL draft. Now we're in the heart of best ball season. This is where we can, instead of mock drafting, we can draft on Underdog. DraftKings has it. FanDuel has best ball. There's some other spots, but Underdog is my favorite. Underdog's my. They have an Underdog in Canada. They got the Underdog in Canada,
bro. Okay, you want to know why Underdog is the best, Kevin? You want to know the number one reason why Underdog is the best? They pretty much have tournaments that start or contests that start like what, a week after the Super Bowl, which I love, right? So what they do is that you can draft your heart's content all the way up to the NFL draft. They stop contests and then they reset everything. So what they ended up doing is you can look at your shares before the NFL draft and your shares after the NFL draft. I think it's brilliant. It's these little details that tells you these people know their audience and they care, man. They're
really into it. Now, one of the challenges on best ball is, of course, on Underdog specifically is it's actually, I'm not going to say it's a harder format because of crush on there, but the crowd is sharper on Underdog. The ADPs that they've got there are really responsive to what's going on. So you have to be aware of that. And it's just something to be aware of. But what we're here to talk about today, Private Shane, is common mistakes that you might make that you want to avoid when drafting your best ball teams. And the first topic I kind of want to bring up, and I think this is almost the most important of them all, is understanding that. Actually, I'm going to double down on this one. It's first understanding the difference between drafting for a tournament, which most people do because they chase the big stupid money, and drafting for a league, which is just you against 9 or 11 other people in a standard fantasy football league style format, right? Hugely different approach to these two styles of contests, right? And a lot of what we'll talk about is for the big tournament. We want to stack. We want a little correlation. We want to take some chances. You want to kind of build a certain way for a tournament because a tournament is all or nothing, right? If you're going up against 50,000 people, it is all or nothing. I'm not trying to cash. When you're going up against 11 of your friends, if you're just not getting zeros every week, you're probably finishing in the top 3. Like, it is super easy to finish in the money because there's a technique to this. And there's an approach. As long as you're not getting zeros, you're winning or you're in the money. It's not brain surgery, Shane.
You know what's kind of interesting on that, like that point is if you want to go and just basically draft at ADP, you might do okay. You know, obviously you have to choose the right players at the right spot. But if you're drafting around ADP, you're going to do okay in the regular leagues. But you almost have to disregard ADP altogether when you're drafting in a tournament, because if everybody else is doing that, you ain't going to win it. You need to differentiate yourself. So that's interesting.
For me, it's about the positions, how you cover each position group.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not, how many of each position player you take, right? Make sure that you're not getting zeros. That's so key. I learned this the first year I ever played best ball. If you don't handcuff your running backs a certain way, if you don't kind of build with a particular volume of players at each position group designated, what ends up happening is a couple of injuries happen and you're getting zeros. You don't have a tight end. They're both injured. And now you're toast. Zeros.
Yes.
So how do you need your 3 tight ends, not 2. At running back in tournaments, and this is again distinguishing between these two, and we'll go into other common mistakes, but like in tournaments at the running back position, you really want to load up your team with one hit away guys rather than handcuffing and looking to play it conservative. Hey, making sure I'm scoring. I want the one hit aways filling up my bench, which means early I'm actually probably taking more wide receivers and then allowing my team to load up on the one hit away running backs. Those are the Alexander Madisons. Those are, I'm not going to say but like even the
Rashad White, Zamir
White, who yes, Rashad White's being maybe Rashad Penny. I'm not sure his backup.
Hey, apparently Rashad Penny is going to be the lead dog. So
I fully expect that. I know that's what I was saying. Like speaking of Rashad, but his backup being the rookie running back whose name
Ken Walker.
Yeah, Kenny Walker. Dynamite Walker. That's right. And all of those, the Tyrion David Price of the world, when they emerge, the Khalil Herberts, right? I'll take Khalil Herbert without Montgomery on my team in a tournament. In a regular league against your friends, it's the exact opposite. I want to make sure that I have two starting running backs that can both be handcuffed very clearly. Yeah, I'm going for more running backs, of course, and more, but I got to make sure that I have guys that can be handcuffed. If I'm taking Austin Eckler, I have to have his backup.
Isaiah Spiller.
Yes, Isaiah Spiller. I have to have him on my team. He's going to give 0, but I don't care. All I need to know is the running back position is secure. I got Montgomery with Khalil. If I got Elijah Mitchell, I'm making sure I got Tyrion Davis Price. That always happens. So one key thing, understanding the difference in a league against your buddies, conservative, high floor players that are going to score every single week. And if with a plan that if this guy gets injured, this guy is on my team and will step up in his place.
I think so. This week you're on the RotoWire show with, of course, the legend himself, Season Long Says, Alan Seslowski. And for those of you who have not listened to the show, after this show is done and after you finish listening to this show, go check out that one. You guys did an amazing show on the top 10 handcuffs for running backs. And it's fantastic. For one, it's great just to kind of outline, just remind people, okay, who are the handcuffs? Because there's so much that changes every single season. So who are the handcuffs? And what I found so interesting about the show, Kev, was just the fact that you do have a slightly different philosophy than Al. And so you kind of get both sides to the story. Is okay, here's the advantages to it. I was thinking after that show, because I really do think critically after these shows, and I start to think, and I think one of the best values right now, if you are in on Javonte Williams, and his ADP is falling, so you don't have to pay as much for it. But I was listening to a beat writer, and I didn't really understand this nuance, but one of Melvin Gordon's key bonuses this year, he doesn't have a huge salary, but he's got a lot of incentives, and one of them is actually on receptions. So there's a possibility that he's going to be playing that passing down back. Melvin Gordon is practically free. He's like round 10, round 11. You get Melvin Gordon.
Those spots.
If you just go bang Javonte, bang Melvin Gordon, and you get pretty much 95% of that running game in Denver, and they're going to be a good team this year. They're going to put up points. That's a huge win to have that backfield. And if one goes down, man, it's league winning.
Yes.
So it's I think that's a great idea.
A beautiful thing about that scenario, similar to the Pollard situation, where even though you are getting a one hit away backup, really both guys are one hit away. The starter also one hit away from the backup going out. You're getting that, but you're also getting a guy who's going to score for you anyway. So you get the double bonus of a guy who will score for you anyway. Like, hey, Melvin Gordon might put up 21 points on a week where Javonte is playing. You don't have to choose which week to play Melvin Gordon. So I love those 1A, 1B situations because you get scoring either way. And again, avoidance of 0 is how you win your league against 12 other people. That's not how you win the tournament, but that's how you win against 12 other people. I've got another one, Shane, and this one's really big. I see a lot of people posting their screenshots of their teams on Twitter, right? And I just drafted this team, and I look at them. I don't comment.
Clickbait, man. I don't comment, and I don't read it. But I look when somebody shares the image
of their team majors, I'm like, oh, I'm 10 picks into my best. I'll look.
Yeah, of course.
And then I see they have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson on the same team. Now, that brings me around to a very, very important rule of best ball. Number one, don't waste a top pick on an elite quarterback. That's just number one. But if you do, and this is the real rule, but if you do, my goodness, don't waste another pick on a second one. That is the waste. I don't even mind. You know what? If somebody takes Josh Allen, if Josh Allen falls into like the 6th round and he's still hanging out,
never going to happen, but let's just say it does.
It rarely happens. If he's hanging out a little too late and you don't like what's on the board and you've built an interesting way and you're like, you know what? I built for the luxury tight end pick sometimes. I'm like, I want to take an early. You can take one luxury pick. Quarterback and tight end are luxury picks. You take one, especially if you're playing a late running back style approach. You can take a luxury pick. But if you do, don't take a second one. As a matter of fact, if you take, I'm okay with it. If you take an elite quarterback, your second, you don't even need a third. You only take 2 in total, and your second guy should be in like round 12. And it's like Kirk Cousins or one of these guys that are floating around really, really late in the draft beyond all reasonable good starting players. Take Marcus Mariota as your backup for all I care. Maybe not him. Make sure
maybe not Mariota because he might not be the starter.
Get hurt. But he gets hurt a lot too. But you get the idea. Don't have 2 elite quarterbacks on your team. I shouldn't have to say this. I've seen it. I see Trey Lance and somebody's like, oh, I got my team. Stafford and it'll be like Trey Lance and Justin Herbert. I'm like,
it's no good.
What the hell are you doing? You can only score one quarterback and they don't get hurt. Like quarterbacks getting hurt. If your quarterback gets hurt, you might as well just pack it in. I'm done. If you have Josh Allen on your team, you don't need a second good quarterback. All you need is a second guy for the bye week. And, okay, take the best second. I'd take Daniel Jones. Why? Because he puts up a 25 every once in a while. Like, I'd take that kind of guy. And especially because you can get him in round 14. You waste 2 early picks on quarterbacks, you will not win your league, Shane. Not happening.
So here's the thing, okay? So all things being equal, you have an 8.3% chance to win, okay? If you are deciding that you're going to spend one of your premium picks, when I define premium picks, I'd say top 5, maybe top 6 rounds are considered premium picks. I feel
like in best ball, 8 or 9 rounds are still they're
maybe, yeah. But I'm talking like premium. Like if you're because Josh Allen's going in round 3, maybe round 4. I think I've seen him fall round 4 once. I've done about 30 of these now. So if you're deciding that I'm going to take Josh Allen because I'm in 30 best balls, I want to diversify, I want to get a piece of that offense, and then you go and take Kyler Murray or Trey Lance or one of these higher end guys. The problem is that if your quarterback gets hurt anyways, I hate to say it, if any one of your top round picks get hurt to begin with, there's a very low probability that 8.3% probably falls to like 2%, 1%. So yes, you can consider yourself hedging in the event that, okay, I have Justin Herbert, I also have Trey Lance. They're gonna counteract each other. The problem with that is like you're then sub-optimizing your other positions. So you're going to then be behind a running back. We're going to be behind a wide receiver. Now you're behind at 2 positions, Kevin. That's the problem.
I'm going to bring it to what you just said. You've essentially created, it's almost like you created an injury to a top player that didn't need to be there. That's to bring it to your point, and that is correct. You've already wasted one top 5er on a quarterback, which is a luxury position that you didn't need to do. Then when you do a second one, it's as if you created 2 injuries in your lineup already. Like, how horrible is it if you draft, 2 running? I don't want to say names. I don't want to jinx players by saying names. You take like, I will. I'm going to jinx them. You take, you take Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, right? And they're both gone by week 3.
That's just playing the odds, man.
They're toast. They're toast by week 3. And then you're like, I'm done, right? The worst case scenario happened. Well, taking 2 quarterbacks in your top 5 rounds or in your top 6 or anything, even 1, but 2, you've basically created the scenario where it's like your team is so bad next to everybody else. And the problem is, you might think you're slick. I'm telling you, people right now, like, well, you're stupid. I'm stupid because if I have Mahomes and Josh Allen, then one of them's probably going to put up 30 points every week. And, if the other one doesn't have a good week, I'll still get 30 from my quarterback. Yeah, but who's your running back? Who's your wide receiver now? A fucking turd, because you took quarterbacks when good wide receivers were on the board. So you can't. One luxury pick, not something I would do in a regular league. I would do it in a tournament just to get crazy with the stack. Hey, listen, I'm building a Buffalo stack and I'm doing it. Fuck it, I'm doing it, right? Like, I'm playing a crazy tournament mindset. Fine. I'm waiting on running back. I'm doing my running back, my zero RB approach or hero RB approach, whatever you want to call it. I love that this year, by the way, and you'll see more and more as you draft this season. There are great running backs. It's just like round 4, round 5. There's still good players. Round 6. This is why you don't waste it on a quarterback. There are good quarterbacks in round 10, 11, and 12. The good running backs end earlier, and the good wide receivers end even earlier. So it really hampers you. But 1, I'll allow it. 2, you're toast. You've already destroyed yourself. Never, ever take 2 great quarterbacks. And on the positive side of that, if you take 1 top 8 quarterback, even just 1, then you don't need 3. You only need 2, and your second one could be a pretty shitty guy. If you got Justin Herbert on your team, your QB2, where would you say the cutoff? Zach Wilson? Like, Zach Wilson, fine.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't mind Kirk. So Kirk Cousins is going at 119 overall.
Cousins seems too generic to always say.
But that's generic. Perfect. It's hey, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, Cousins is the perfect QB2.
I'm going to say young Kirk Cousins, a.k.a. Mac Jones. Mac Jones is the cutoff.
Trevor Lawrence is going 145. I don't mind that. That's not too bad. Mac Jones is 184, though. 184? That's so late.
That's when you want it.
Yeah.
You're round 15. This is what I'm talking about.
Actually, I'm in a draft right now, Kev, and I think I took Kyler Murray in round 5 or 6, and I think I just took Mac Jones as my second quarterback in round 16. So
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You will never see me. Everybody who's been in best ball leagues with me, there's never been once that I've had any kind of good quarterback on my. Not good. Last year I got Jalen Hurts on all my teams because everybody was stupid. Nobody was watching the ball call. I said this is going to be a top 6 guy. He ended up being a top 3 or 4 quarterback. But I was like, I'm going to be the last person in my league to take a quarterback. You know who you could get with the 12th quarterback off the board this year? You know who's number 12?
I can tell you who's number 12.
It's Matt Stafford. Am I upset with Matt Stafford and his 25 points a game? Trust me, that's great. And by the way, Tom Brady's 10. Like, it's Brady, and then weirdly Trey Lance, and then Stafford. Okay. Yeah. I'm happy with all of those guys. Matt Stafford, he put up 25 points per game last year. 25. That's great. And I didn't have to waste. What round is Matt Stafford going in? I don't have it open in front of me.
He's 94. So that's about round 9.
Round 9.
Round 8, round 9.
Round 8. 8, 9. 94 you said off the board?
Yeah, that's 8, 9 turn sort of thing.
Late in the 8th round, right? So
yeah.
I'm getting my quarterback in the 8th round. Other people who spent a 3rd, a 2nd, a 4th, not a 2nd, no one spends a 2nd, but a 4th, a 5th, a 6th rounder. So now look at the running back that was available in the 4th round. Okay? I gave up on David Montgomery, who was there in the 4th round to take a quarterback. Now I need one in the 9th round. Kevin's taking Matt Stafford. He's happy. Got Montgomery and Stafford. You know who you got? You got Clyde, not Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like you got like Kenyon Drake or who's the guy in Miami? Edwards. Man, I can't remember his name, but the Miami running back.
Oh, Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, you're getting Chase Edmonds.
Yeah,
I've got a starter that's getting 3 down work on a real team, and you've got a one hit away guy or something like that. Like, you're taking not even Tony Pollard's gone. Now Madison's gone at that point. You're taking a shitty backup running back. And that's the problem. You can't, you hamper your team with that approach. So be careful with early quarterback. I can't stress this unless you're in a league with me, in which case, by the way, best ball season, Shane, in the description, we've got 2 different ways to enter. We've got 1 in 1 league, 1 in 1 league. 2 in 1 league. 1 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 in 1 league a 12-person, $3 to enter 12-man slow draft posted. We got a $5 12-man slow draft post. Whatever you're into, hop in, take on the geek. Shane will be in there. Take us on. Take us down. You want to hang with the big boys? Take us down. So we're going to be making lots and lots of these leagues. Play against your friends, 12-man, and look at it like, here's my challenge. Look at it like a mock draft. The reason I do the $3 and $5 ones publicly is so that people understand, like, you can have fun drafting a team. It doesn't have to cost a lot. By the way, as a bonus, like right now, here's what I would do. Here's what I can't do this anymore. Standard entry fee. We're in a lot of leagues together, Shane. What's the standard entry fee for a league that you're generally
$100 generally?
$100. Okay. I'm in a lot of leagues for $100. I don't like the 100. I like higher stakes, but I'll do some, $100. That's the league that you do with your friends. People who go on Underdog right now, Underdog's matching your deposit up to $100. I'm not trying to make this a commercial for Underdog, but so I'm not trying to go there, but I'm keeping it real. They'll match you $100. So you put $100 into Underdog, they'll match it. So now you have $200 to play with. Then just start drafting teams. $5, $5, $5, $5, $10, $25. Gauge your time, right? I like them because they're slow drafts, so I can go in and I can do 50 of these because you just pop on the app and, I got to make 3 picks. I quickly look at my teams. So if this is a money-making venture, think about it. $200. I put up $100. I get $200 in entries. Can you come out of that with more than $200? If you did, then you're a winner, right? So now, if you then take the $200 and you put it all in the giant tournament, the puppy or any of the giant tournaments with 50,000 people, those are fun to enter, but you're probably not winning it. That money's probably being thrown away. Do 20% of your entries in those, so about $40 worth. Do in those tournaments. For the other 160 leagues do these leagues against friends, slow draft, 12-person leagues. And then look at your win ratio at the end of the year. Obviously, we have a lot of advice. Use the DFS Army rankings. Work with what I'm telling you. Avoid, handcuff your running back. Make sure you don't have 5 running backs on your roster, 7 wide receivers, 7 or 8, 3 tight ends, 2 quarterback. Stick with the approach. Let's see if you can't come out ahead. You started with $100. You got $200 worth of entries. Come through the year. Let's see where you are, right? It's a fun way to draft a lot of leagues that you don't have to manage. So that's how I think of it. I just think of it like another league. Like, all right, if I'm putting $100 in, I get another $100 free. Now I'm going to do $200 worth of entries. And this is how I fill up my time in July.
And January, because as you're preparing for your February draft. Yeah.
But
I think I was going to say, one of the nice things about that, Kevin, is just the fact that, like, we're in so many leagues during the season, and like, you're grinding to DFS all season long. That's literally the name. That's your company. It's DFS Army. That's what you do. The best part about best ball is you draft it. I literally forget. I don't check my teams. Then all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute. I have this bankroll now that I could either go invest in more best ball leagues. I can go buy maybe some presents for Christmas. Like, there's so much you can do with it. It's nice, and you just don't think about it. It's fantastic.
Fuck Christmas presents, bro. Use more leagues.
Yeah,
you always parlay your gambling money into more gambling money.
That's a fact.
That's how you do it.
That's a fact.
But you're right. You don't have to check. You don't have to look, and it doesn't take my time. I prefer best ball leagues for that reason. Of course, if anybody's not signed up at Underdog, you could use our promo code DFS Army. That kicks in that $100 deposit match. So let's continue. Mistakes that people make drafting their best ball team. And this is more of and this is one of yours. This is more, I would say, of a mistake that people just generally make in drafting fantasy football teams. Not necessarily exclusive to best ball, but don't focus too much on upside players. So tell me what your thought is behind that.
So you see these players or these leagues where the teams will have just like best or upside player after upside player after upside player. And they're like, like Keenan Allen, he's kind of boring. He doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. He'll maybe get 6 or 7 touchdowns. but you don't forget he's going to get 100 receptions every single
So you're
season.
saying
Pretty much book
would
it.
a perfect example be Keenan Allen versus Mike Williams?
Yeah, but I like Mike Williams a lot. So that one's tough. That to me, Gabriel Davis is a perfect upside play, man. Listen, he put up 4 touchdowns. He put up 52 points in a game in that KC game. The thing is, so I've been beefing back and forth with my buddy Brandon, who is on the Saturday show with me. He's all in on this Gabriel Davis breakout. I'm like, Gabe's going to be fine. But if you think he's putting up 50 points a game, you're mistaken. I went back and watched some of the highlights of some of his touchdowns. Literally, these Kansas City clowns, these DBs, are falling down. They're not square to the route. They're like going cross, like they're easy touchdowns. And my caution is, if you're going to completely just go hammer Gabriel Davis, fine, get a few shares of him, but don't be afraid to take the more, I don't know, call it safer plays. Like take an Amari Cooper once in a while because he's going to get locked in targets. Take Brandon Cooks, who's being drafted after Gabriel Davis. He's locked in. He's a number 1 wide receiver. Okay. I get Davis Mills is just a meh quarterback, but he's still the number 1 wide receiver on that team. Locked and loaded, 1,000 yards every single season. He's probably going to get 80 receptions and 7-8 touchdowns. Like that's a nice, safe play. So it's okay to go and take some of these higher upside players, but one, diversify when you're doing multiple drafts, but also in the same team, get a few PPR guys and get a few high touchdown upside guys. Like go maybe a Juju if you went with Mike Williams in round 3. Go with Juju round 4, round 5. Like build your team smart. Don't just go pure upside because, listen, there's a much better chance that on a given week, none of you guys are going to go off. We've all seen the teams, right? Like I'm sure you've had teams like this in just regular your regular season leagues, Kev, where once in a while your team will put up 190 points. The next week to put up like 140. It's like, holy shit. It's just that's just you can't win like that. And listen, I get best ball is accumulative, but you want these floor guys where somebody's going to put up 15, 16 points every single week. And if they don't hit, that's a good thing. If they don't make your lineup, that's a good thing because it means your upside guys are playing. But when your upside guys get 4 points because they went 0 for or 3 for 30 and no touchdown, well, you're still going to make sure that you actually have a reasonable score so that at the end of the season, like Kevin, you're in a lot of best balls. How many top 2, 3 positions are like by 5 or 6 points at the end of the season? The entire season goes by and you win or lose by 5 or 6 points. The margins are thin, and keeping those floor guys around on your team and building your team with some upside, but also with some floor will keep you in the game throughout the entire season. Yeah. I think that's important for people to understand.
We call those GPP plays, right? Like tournament plays versus cash game guys. And Deshaun Jackson was always the generic example of the tournament play. Like he could pop off, but yeah, I think Gabriel Davis is a tournament play. I think he's a guy that will pop off a few times, but I'm not sure you're going to get consistent production out of someone like that. I'd rather have Rashad Bateman, who's probably looking at 10 targets a game with all the vacated targets on his team. I love him. So guys like that anyway. So yeah, I'm down with this. You have to balance speculation with just taking yeoman-like production.
Yes.
And it's always a balance. It's always a balance. You want the exciting, sexy, hot play. On that note, one of the things that I like to do on a best ball team with my bench is I like to build my starting group around higher floor players, obviously blue chips, so to speak. And then on my bench, when making decisions between, let's say, nice PPR guys versus guys that might pop off for a big score, I'll give you an example. Although I don't think I'm trying to think of the perfect example of this on the same team. I was kind of thinking Jacoby Myers versus Kendrick Bourne, maybe last year, right? I don't know. They've got some new wide receivers on the Patriots this year, so I can't really.
Yeah, it's
last year though. It was a good example last year. Last year, Jacoby Myers was generally getting targeted more frequently. But Kendrick Bourne, of all people, was putting up touchdowns. And he had multiple weeks, Kendrick Bourne did, of 20-plus point fantasy production. Whereas Jacoby Myers was usually pretty good to get you 10 PPR floor points. It was actually Kendrick Bourne who had the 3 or 4 games where he popped off and actually would have made an appearance on your best ball team. those nice weeks so on my bench, I want guys like even last season, another name like that was Zay Jones.
Yeah.
He's not good week to week, but every once in a while, he's a deep ball guy. He's running, and if he two receptions, one of them for a touchdown, and all of a sudden he puts up a performance worthy of making your team. So I like those types on my bench in my later picks, where in the earlier picks, I don't want to take too many risks earlier in the draft. So if I'm looking at a speculative player in round 5 versus like, I'll give you the perfect, I mean, we keep going back to Davis, but I don't want to keep going back to that. I think I'll give you a speculative player in round 5, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
And when I say speculative, I mean, he's got no quarterback on his team. We don't know if he's good or if it was all Russell Wilson. Speculative. I don't know. People are like, oh, he's so good. How do you know? By the way, how do you know?
This is my favorite Kevin take, by the way. That we're not sure if
Russell
DK Metcalf
Wilson
is good.
Was on the team last year and he sucked.
Yeah.
He was there. So everybody's so convinced that DK Metcalf's a good player. I'm not convinced. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I don't know.
You know who's a good? I was trying to think of a good example. Maybe because Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to pick 68 overall as wide receiver 32. DJ Chark is going at 149 overall at 67.
Enough with the DJ Chark. It's not.
I'm just saying he's a deep ball guy, right? If we're talking about deep ball, I'm taking Chark over Bourne.
He's a skinny, always injured. Forget him.
Often
the guy that you need to be talking about that you can still get late, and forget DJ Chark because he's doo-doo.
Who are you thinking about?
He's doo-doo.
I get it.
DJ Chark.
Shark doo-doo. Yes,
forget him.
Thank you.
Jameson
Williams.
What the hell is Jameson Crowder? What the hell's
his
name?
Jameson
Williams is the guy that you want. That now I don't take. This is another rule of best ball, but the guy that's going to make a difference on the lines, it's the deep ball guy is Jameson Crowder, Jameson Williams, whatever the hell his name is. I do like Jameson Crowder too, but Jameson Williams is going to be the deep ball. He's that guy. But on that same note, you just brought back another really, really important best ball philosophy. Don't draft injured players. If a guy's hurt, if he's hurt, don't draft him. It's hard enough keeping a team healthy when they're all healthy to start the season. If you draft Chris Godwin, I want to come through the screen like this and ring her. What are you doing? He's hurt.
Michael Thomas still rehabbing.
He's not going to play. You don't draft guys like that. He's going way too high. Michael Thomas, should you draft him? No, never. Because we don't know if he's going to play. Why would you put players that are going now? If he dropped into the 16th round, I'll give you an example of when you do take a guy like that. A couple years ago, everybody was worried about Tyreek Hill. There was some legal stuff. And I went and I read the article, much like I did with Deshaun Watson, and everybody flamed me and they called me Mr. Jerk because I'm not sympathetic to whatever. I don't give a shit. All I care about is I'm trying to do fantasy football prognostication here. I'm not here to morally judge people. Don't judge me. I'm not judging you. I don't know. Right?
Well, I mean, you kind of judge people.
I judge, but you know, I'm not for my fantasy football team. I will put the most evil motherfucker on my fantasy football team if it can make me money. Sorry. Right? But a couple years ago, there was the speculation that Tyreek Hill was going to get suspended for some shit that went on off the thing. And I read the report and I was like, this guy didn't do anything. This is bullshit. It seemed like all fake. Like when I read the report, I was like, this is bullshit. I don't believe it for a second. Like it was a domestic dispute and it sounded like somebody was making up some shit. And he was fully denying. So I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I can get Tyreek Hill in round 10. You know what? I'm taking a chance on that because if I'm right and he doesn't get suspended. Now, Shane, you remember what happened that year? He got hurt week 2 and the whole advantage was gone. So he got hurt. He was out for most of the year.
The cynics would call that karma, but hey, I'm just saying it.
Listen, I never said positive karma's on my side. What I'm saying, though, is that was the right play. He comes out, you get it. But is the right play taking Chris Godwin thinking, oh, I got him 2 rounds later and I'll just wait out the 6 week? You need people scoring for you every single week in your best ball. It is a cumulative score, meaning it's a cumulative. You're not going head to head against people. It's who scored the most points in the league. And if you have a guy putting up zeros who you drafted in the first 6, 7, 8 rounds, you've added an injury to your team that you didn't need. You're essentially reducing the sum total of the assets on your team for what? So that this guy can come back? You didn't even get a bargain for him. I understand the players never go far enough down to where it's worth it. Like if I was getting Chris Godwin in round 14, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll put a 14 rounder on my bench. I'll wait 6 weeks and hope that he comes in. I think that's like tournament viable. But you're not. You're paying like a 7th, a 6th, a 7th rounder. When you're taking Godwin, there are other good players available.
Dude, he's going at 56 overall. So I would say for 28. It's ludicrous.
It's probably the donkiest of all of the ADP. And underdog ADP is really good, but there must be a donkey in every league. So people don't understand. By the way, we're always right about this stuff. And unless a report comes out that says Godwin's on track for week 1, which I don't think so, what will happen is in a month, his ADP will come down because people who are drafting right now, there's just a portion of them that just aren't even, they don't understand that an ACL injury, he goes injured last year, he'll be fine. They don't understand like it's a 12-month period. And also, having done this for so many years, Shane, when you have an injured player, now it's less dramatic in best ball where you don't have to make a decision. But here's all right, so they're out the first 5 weeks of the season. But the whole time you're saying, well, they're talking to me, he could be back he's going to be back in October. We'll be fine. First week of October comes, he doesn't play. But the second week, they're like, he's practicing with the team. We think he's going to play this week. Just for the game here. But we're going to limit his snaps. We're not going to go crazy. We're going to take it easy. We're going to work him back in. All right, I don't really want to play him that week then. Well, how many snaps is he going to get? Right? Now, the next week after that, still kind of working him back in. All right, I don't know. All right, he's fine. Oh, he got half the snaps. All right, next week will be better. So now we're already week 7, week 8. Half the season's gone. And you're still waiting for this guy. Now he comes out. Now he tweaks the hammy. Setback. Oh, shit. I waited fucking 8 weeks. And now he's got a setback? Are you shitting me right? Is this for real? Is this happening? Is this real? Is this my life now? This is who I am? This is my life now. That's what you feel like. Waiting for these guys. They get hurt again. Why? They didn't have a training camp. They didn't have a training camp. People do this. This is a Kozlowski special, by the way. I will credit him for this because he was screaming. No one screams louder, don't draft injured player. But it's true. You want to take Michael Thomas? The fucking guy has been hurt for 2 years, right? And he's still not ready to play. But you're taking Michael Thomas right after Chris Godwin? How's that working out? Well, when he played, he was WR1. Who cares?
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. He hasn't played. Take Allen Robinson. He's there also. And he's an actual healthy NFL player. There are good players available when you're taking these injured guys. People think they're being cute and playing for upside. You're not cute. You're not being cute. There's nothing cute about those moves. It's just sucker.
I think what's so sharp about that too is like if you were to do it in like a one-off 12-person league in your best ball, it sucks. It's a bad pick. We don't condone it, but it's one league, right? If you do it in a tournament, and then to your point, in 3 or 2 months when we get a little bit more clarity, we're almost into the season, and we realize, oh, these guys are going to miss. They're going on pup, man. They're going on they're going to miss 6 weeks.
4
to your
weeks.
point, you're not going to start the first week back. You don't trust what's going to happen. That's 7 weeks, and then the thing is that now you're up. You paid round 5 value for Chris Godwin, where everybody else they're going to get him back at the same time as you, but they only had to pay a round 8 pick or round 9 pick for this guy.
They get him later. Yeah, there will be teams in the tournament. Yes. Good point. Teams in the tournament because we just said their ADPs will drop. So yeah, especially in a tournament. That's a really good point, Shane. There are going to be teams in the tournament that have that same player, but in round 10 or 9. And if you took him in round 5, you're not beating that team. So like you lose for winning, you lose for losing. You're just a loser. Don't do it.
Don't be a loser
with that approach. That was like I said, that was the difference. Like I was getting Tyreek Hill in round. I was just drafting like crazy. I was like, oh, draft another one because I knew I had an edge. And I was drafting. I was getting around 10, and then he starts coming down. And I'm like, shit. All right, 8, 7, 6, 5. Oh, fourth round now. I'm still taking him because by the time the season rolled around, it was a second round guy. So you had such an edge on everybody. Again, he gets hurt week 2, and the whole edge is gone. But it doesn't matter. I would do it again. Yeah. On that same note, obviously, don't touch Deshaun Watson this year. Like, by the way, Deshaun Watson settled 20 of the lawsuits today.
Yep.
Those ladies are like, just got paid Friday night. Party jumping. They're living large. They're loving it. They just got paid.
But man, it's I don't know if you're following this guy. I'm sure you are, but it's becoming a bit of a shitstorm. It's because the NFLPA is kicking or like throwing back, right? They're saying, listen, how come it's a double standard? Literally, it says that the owners will be held at a higher standard than the players, and yet the Robert Kraft situation, remember the Jim Irsay situation from a few years back, the Dan Snyder situation. It's a mess. These owners are a mess, man. And I get it. Look, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but it's hold everybody accountable. And the thing
I say the opposite, man. The guy did nothing wrong.
I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not. All I'm saying is
he was judged. He was judged
public opinion.
I don't care about public opinion. Public opinion people, when you listen to public opinion, they don't know what the hell the even facts of the case are. They didn't read the report. I read the report. They didn't read it. You know how I know? I asked people, like, did you read the report? I'm like, no, but I heard he assaulted some women. I'm like, that's not what happened. I'm not condoning what the man did. He's got a creepy taboo. But my point is, they went to a grand jury and they said, you did nothing illegal. We will not pursue charges in this incident. And it wasn't because they didn't believe the women's story. They said, hey, the story that you just told of what happened to you, while, disgusting and creepy, is not an illegal act did not take place here. Like if you're Deshaun Watson, right? And I imagine that Deshaun Watson schlong is pretty much like from elbow to it's like this.
Going off the rails real quick.
Okay. It would look very similar to elbow to fist, right? Imagine this. Now you're getting a massage, you flip over, that thing's sticking up. I mean, what are you going to do? It's going to be offensive if it's there. We can't ignore it. He's going, he's just kind of going like, and the girl's like, am I supposed to do something with that? And some of them do. They're like, all right, let me take care of that for you as well, sir. And it's not illegal. It's not illegal. I know we went off the rails. Sorry.
Not illegal. Not illegal.
I read the stories.
Yeah.
It wasn't illegal. Creepy? Inappropriate? Yes.
What do you think? So realistically, Kevin, because in the NFL's mind, it doesn't matter if the crime happened. It's what does the public think, right? Ray Rice is a perfect example of that.
He's gonna get a full year.
I think so.
And they'll reduce it. He'll appeal. They'll give him the year. He'll appeal. That'll come down 8 games, 10 games.
I think 8. Yeah, 8 to 10.
To me, he served a year suspension already. So I see it as, listen, this guy already did a year of missed. He got paid, but he missed a full year.
Yeah.
If you're going to suspend him for a year, they'll appeal it. We didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing illegal. Grand jury found me not guilty. And an arbitrator will say, you know what? That's true, but you still conduct unbecoming. Your conduct was harmful to the NFL. 8 games. And that'll be that. And by the way, his dynasty value will explode. Once the ruling comes down, everybody's going to be like, okay, now we know. Everything, all uncertainty is gone. Trade for him now. That's all I'm telling you. Trade for him now before that, because you can't get him after that.
You already have too many shares of him, Kevin.
I have him in every league.
Yeah. So this kind of brings me to my next tip.
Not my best ball leagues, though. Hold on.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, we're talking best ball.
Dynasty.
Do not draft Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
In best ball, because he's still going too high for a guy who's going to miss 8 games. I get it. He's going to ride in on a white horse later in the season. You don't need that. Your best ball is a cumulative score. If you miss out on your player for 8 weeks, you're not making the playoffs anyway. It doesn't matter what he does. You're not making it. You're out.
Yeah, he's cratering. He's about 160 now. But I think that's going to continue to fall.
Yeah.
He's
Earlier in the
cratering.
season, though, he was like
Eight?
QB 7 or
9?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. And guilty as charged. I did not think I actually made videos this year about how much I love Amari Cooper. Because I figured Deshaun Watson would miss like 4 games or so. And as soon as he comes back, Amari Cooper's going to go bonkers.
Ugh.
I still think Amari Cooper will go bonkers as soon as Deshaun Watson comes back. But now that it's 8 games and not 4, or likely 8, or maybe a whole season, at that point, you really can't draft Amari at all until we know Amari is just as toasted without Deshaun as Deshaun is just not playing. Amari's not going to do anything with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. So now you can't draft Amari Cooper. And it's crazy because I went off on how much I loved him. I traded for him, but I think he'll have a good end of the season, but it's not a good best ball play.
Who would you rather have? Would you rather have like Drake London or Amari Cooper in your team?
I mean, it's still Amari Cooper, but because Amari Cooper's pretty likely to he could have a win you your league second half of the season, and it's not like he won't be playing. Whereas Drake London has a very questionable quarterback situation. I like Drake London though; he is absolutely my favorite rookie wide receiver, way above Treylon Burks, by the way, for me, in terms of the rookie wide receivers that I don't mind going after in best ball. But here's another interesting do not. Generally, you want to avoid rookie wide receivers. They just don't have great years. It's uncommon for a rookie wide receiver to have a great year. Like a couple will, but I think you're asking for trouble if you have too many rookies on your team, too many rookie wide receivers.
Yeah, I think when it comes to drafting rookie wide receivers, if you're going to go early, so this year probably Drake London. I'll be honest with you, I don't really trust Treylon Burks. Before the draft, I had a fair number of shares, but I've like, okay, I got my shares, I'm good with Trey. The thing is that when you look at the numbers, yes, you're going to have hits, but generally the market's pretty sharp. Like everybody knew Jamar Chase was going to be good last year. We didn't know how good he was going to be, but we knew he was going to be good, right? You get the occasional Amon-Ra St. Browns where, holy shit, like this guy was going to run 12 and he broke out. But generally speaking, it's really hard to predict. The one guy I will say I will give you permission to draft later because he's not going till I think pick 110 is Chris Olave. And that's just, that just goes into line with the fact that we don't think that Michael Thomas is going to be very good this year.
I like Chris Olave. Yeah.
Chris Olave, he's a pro. He could have come out last year. He didn't. He should have. But he's a pro. So generally speaking, it's risky to draft these rookie wide receivers. And again, like if you avoid a rookie wide receiver, you're not taking a 0 to that spot. You're drafting somebody else in their place. It's just a little bit safer. And the thing is that especially if you're spending early capital, just look at their seasonal arc, right? Typically, they're just getting acclimated into the NFL. It takes them a good half of the season, legitimately half of the season, to go and actually produce for your fantasy team, right? Even Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, I get it was a perfect storm. Swift was hurt. Hawk was hurt. I get it. But
there are red flags with Amon-Ra based on the fact that he did what he did with like no healthy players on his team. But to your point, and to the 2 players that you mentioned, the consistency amongst both Chase and Amon-Ra was they came on strong late in the season. They did not have a balanced, solid across the board season. They came on strong very late, and more power to them. That could power a team to win, and those guys are fine kind of bench stashes, I would say, in best ball. But like you cannot rely on those type of guys early in the year. And then we could get into really speculative guys like that we don't know anything about. We don't know if Sky Moore will play at all. We don't know if Bell will get snaps for his team. Like we don't know these things.
Yeah.
So
we're not taking Cooper. We ain't taking Bell. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I ain't taking Bell. I mean, but Bell at least is available like 10 rounds later. I mean, it's fine. He's 10 rounds later. I don't mind wasting my 15th rounder on those spots. As a matter of fact, I like wasting my 15th rounder on those situations. Christian Watson, those guys, Derek Bell, John Mechie. I don't think he's hurt, but those style of rookies that, hey, you know what? I'm in the 15th round, 16th round. Like last year, I was taking Kadarius Toney and Elijah Moore in that zone, right? And they came on strong. Like a couple of them. I like, listen, first round pedigree. No one wanted to touch Kadarius Toney, who, by the way, is one of my favorite late in your draft guys this year in best ball. Love Kadarius Toney. He's available. He's going way later in your league than he should be.
He's going to wide receiver 46.
What's that?
Wide receiver 46.
You know, WR5. You know, he's a WR5, like wide receiver 46. Everybody's got a full set of 3. Some people, you know, this could be your second bench wide receiver. And you're talking about Kadarius Toney, a guy who has massive upside for big weeks. So a lot of these guys like that. And we'll have separate shows that kind of talk about sleeper players, and we could talk about Lazard and Jameson Crowder and a lot of these names that we like a little bit late, Martez Valdez, Scantling types, and some of these rookies that you can get, you know, beyond the WR50 zone, which could lead your team to a win. But in general, I don't remember what my point was. I forgot what my point was.
Just avoid these rookies, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In general, we don't want to be taking rookie wide receivers early. Like if you're weighing a Drake London, and I hate to say Drake London because I love him this year. So let me, if you're weighing Sky Moore against like Alan Lazard, that's a good example. And I think those two are similarly priced. Take Lazard. Like Lazard, we know what he's gonna bring. He's a touchdown guy. He's gonna have opportunities. He's definitely playing, and he's definitely starting for his team. And he has upside. Whereas a Sky Moore, we think he might be good, but I'm not even sure he's gonna start. I don't know. You don't know. You could think maybe, but then we're always surprised with. Listen, everybody thought Denzel Mims was gonna be good. Last year, I can name Amari Rodgers, who was supposed to be good. There were so many names of these guys. Palmer, that was on one team. The guy on Washington who didn't get any playing time. I can't remember the rookie from last year. I can't remember his name. But you know, there were these guys that were drafted.
Dyami Brown.
Yeah, Dyami Brown. Yeah. Like who was starting ahead of him? No one. We don't even know who the starters were for Washington. But somehow, like, name one that's not McLaurin on Washington from last year.
Actually, last year? Oh, yeah. That means Curtis Samuel was dog water last year.
He was hurt. Who was the guy? Yeah. I don't even remember the name. That's how it was, like Chris Sims. It was like some turds, right?
Oh, and it was Chris Sims. Cam Sims.
Something.
The banker.
Turd, right? Yeah. And you're like, dude, I drafted Dyami Brown in the second round of the rookie draft. What's going on here? What happened to Dyami? Never got on the field. Jalen Reagor didn't play a snap.
I do want to say this. I do want to say this one thing, because I mentioned Chris Olave. I give you permission. I didn't even think about Jahan Dotson. So Jahan Dotson, look, I get his camp. I get it. He was a first round pick, maybe a bit of a reach, but he's performing in camp. Terry McLaurin's holding out until he gets his contract, so he's not there. But at pick 140, wide receiver 65 overall, I kind of like that for Jahan Dotson. So if you want to take a dart, that's the guy to go after, man.
I like the rookies as your late picks. Just make sure. I don't like the early ones. So I love Jahan. Great reference. I love Dotson this year. Great reports coming out of camp. That ADP is going to move up because they're loving him in camp. ADP is going to rise from here. First round pedigree is really, really important. The names I mentioned, Josh Palmer, Dyami Brown, Amari Rodgers, they were not first round pedigree wide receivers.
Yes.
They were second and third rounders, which seemed good. Denzel Mims seemed pretty good. Remember N'Keal Harry?
Stop. That's just
seemed really good. But at least, and N'Keal had the first round pedigree of the Patriots.
Stop it.
Cannot draft wide receivers. But like the Kadarius Toneys, the Elijah Moores, those first round guys, they do tend to come on late. So as long as you can get that guy at ADP 140, ADP 130, you just don't want to reach for them as a top 3 rounds wide receiver. Garrett Wilson. No one's talking about Garrett Wilson. That guy's available so late in your draft. I don't love him, but in best ball, if it's 150, I would say he's available. Where's Garrett Wilson?
So Garrett Wilson is going as wide receiver 49 at 103, but you know who's actually going at 155? It's Corey Davis. That's such
another
an
one.
enigma, man. That
We
team's
get
an
into that.
enigma.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. But I have a whole rant about how Zach Wilson has just been so terrible, and yet we're drafting, 2 Jets wide receivers like as if they're going to be good. And
Brees Hall,
there's a third one, and I'm like,
Carter.
have you guys watched the Jets? Like, I'm a Jets fan. I'm familiar. They have never produced 2 fantasy relevant players. Period.
Ever in
Never.
history.
Never. Curtis Martin and like. The hell was the quarter? I'm trying to remember. Like Wayne Corbett, were they there at the same time? Like that was, Danny Woodhead. Who? Never. But yet here we think they're going to have all these fantasy relevant guys. I'll believe it when I see it. I hope so. I dare to hope, but I hope so. I'm trying to think. All right, let's see. More things to avoid on your best ball team. Oh, one last item on the agenda, Shane. Be careful with your exposures. So best ball is a game of injury avoidance. It's a game of building elasticity into your team. And we do in our minds tend to focus in on quote unquote our guys. Now I do build around a core. Like if I see there's a discrepancy like that year with Tyreek Hill or last year with Cooper Kupp and Debo, where they were incorrectly priced and I was able to get them on all my teams. When that does happen, when there's a discrepancy, I always, if like my love for Amari Cooper, when I thought Deshaun Watson was going to play, like he was like WR20, I was like, this guy's just going to be top 10. I'm getting him. He's too good. I'm going to get him in every league. I'm fine with that, but make sure to diversify around, especially for tournaments. I don't care that much in leagues though. Diversification is much more important to me in tournaments or just at the running back position where injuries are so prevalent that, I just can't load up on Christian McCaffrey like you did last year. And then he gets hurt and it just ruins so many teams. You got to be careful about that. So just diversify a little bit. Make sure that
Kevin is like 20-25%. Like what's the number you like? That's usually for me it's 25%. That's what I'm like, all right, I gotta look elsewhere.
It's funny for me. I just differentiate between a league against friends and a tournament. In a tournament, 25-30%. That's plenty for any one player. If I'm in a league against friends, I will just load up on guys that I like, and I don't care because I'm not playing that for massive upside. I'm not trying to win a giant tournament. I'm just trying to beat 11 other people. And I feel like my guys, the ones, I try to build a team, it has the highest asset value possible, right? And so if you look at your team like a portfolio and the ADP as the market price for that player, if I can get, if the market is incorrect on a couple guys so that I'm able to take somebody in the 7th round who's really a 5th rounder or in the 9th round who's really like a 7th rounder, something like that, I'm essentially just adding massive value to this portfolio of players that I've assembled. So building in some diversification across the portfolio of teams that you built is great, but if I see an extreme value, I don't care. I'm just going to load like Montgomery. Montgomery is one of my guys, David Montgomery. And I'm just going to take him. I think his ADP is around lower than where it should be. And I love that I can fully handcuff him with Khalil Herbert. And it's very cheap to handcuff him. So he's got 2 advantages that are so great compared to everybody else that I just load up on that guy. Right. And I'll have him. I don't mind having him on every team because I know that I've backed him up with his elite backup anyway. By elite backup, I mean just the guy that has shown us for sure that when the starter is out, he's going to get all the touches. So in a spot like that, I don't care. I'll just load up because I'm not looking for, it doesn't matter to me if David Montgomery has a top 6 running back year. I don't even care. I just want a yeoman-like healthy running back who's going to give me 16 fantasy points, going to be the starter. He's going to get all the touches each week. And if he goes down, I know I've got a full-scale backup. Team likes to run the football. That's all I care about. I don't care. What if you took Travis Etienne 2 picks later and he can outscore him by a little bit? Well, you know what? I can't handcuff Travis Etienne. I don't know who his backup is. Like, is it James Robinson? I don't know. So I'd rather take my guy. And in that case, I don't mind loading up on one guy. Again, in leagues, in tournaments, you need that upside player. So you cannot do that. You have to mix it up much more so if you're trying to win the tournament. Because if Travis Etienne, who was available 2 picks later, actually has an insane year and you skipped him in every single team for Montgomery because Montgomery was the safer play, well, you're not going to win the tournament. It's like, oh, the only people. Remember who won the tournaments last year? Who was on that team? Jamar Chase.
Yes. Yeah.
You had to have him. If you didn't have Chase, you didn't win the tournament. It was just that simple. Because in championship weeks, in one of the championship weeks, I'm pretty sure Jamar Chase went off for 40 plus fantasy points.
Yeah.
And that was it. If you didn't have me, you didn't win.
Fact.
I didn't win. Why not?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think I had in the league both Debo Samuel and Cooper Kupp. And I went up against Chase that week and knocked me out. That was it.
There we go. All right. Let's wrap it up there. 10, or we didn't really go 10, but just moves to avoid in your best ball leagues. We covered it. Remember, it is best ball season right now. So I'm drafting. I'm setting up leagues. You could draft against me and Shane. We're going to put a couple of leagues, a couple of links for you to invite and play us in a 12-man slow draft. Keep it cheap, $3, whatever. $5 league, $3 league, $10 league. We'll put them all in there. We'll put a few in the description. Check them out and keep coming back. Remember, like and subscribe to the channel here where you're going to get lots of best ball content. We're going to come back with our favorite sleeper plays, everything to help you dominate your fantasy football best balls this season. Hardcore best ball season. We're going best ball season pretty much all the way to August. Then kind of August, we switch over to our standard season long. But you know what? Best ball season is my favorite. I've gone away. Like I don't do as many season long. I have dynasty leagues. Love dynasty season. Yes. Dynasty leagues. I got my best balls. Then I really only do a couple of redrafts every year at this point.
Well, I mean, you're probably so busy with DFS that like to manage that many leagues is too hard. Yeah.
I still love it, but redraft is the hardest for me because it's the most aggressive. You need to be on waivers, and it's very. I'm not able to do it well and focus on DFS and do all the content and play every single tournament and play every single showdown and everything.
Run a business,
and run a business. So it is a lot, and but I love best ball season. I love this. I'm doing it all the time. Like I'm staring at right now. Oh, I'm on the clock. Like I'm all. You got 8 hours to go. Don't worry. You got time. That's the beauty of it. Slow draft. You get 8 hours, whatever it is. So you have lots of time to draft. Make sure you do it. Shane and I will be back with more bold call, probably best ball focused content over the next few weeks as we help you crush your best ball tournaments. I'm actually going to be doing a couple live drafts just so watching kind of a draft start to finish. We're going to have to do fast drafts in video form over the next week or two. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll see it. And I'll talk through everything. Maybe we'll do that one together, Shane. I'll talk through all the moves. We could talk through our next plays right there. So that's the kind of content we expect to be putting out. And of course, we appreciate you. Like, subscribe to the video, do all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next time on another Bold Call Fantasy Football Podcast. For Shane, for Geek, deuces. Thank you.